Hey everybody, thanks for joining me again here. This is episode 2 of the we still don't have a name, and this time it's the Ruben and Bill party. I am very pleased to introduce Dr. Bill Keith over in Mission, Kansas. And when I think of Bill, I think he's a numbers guy, very business savvy. He's fun, likes sports, likes the Chiefs, barbecue, and it might not know right away what this means, but I think ambulance. So, Bill, thanks for joining me. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thanks for having me. I got to say I'm a little offended that I'm number 2 and not number 1, but, knowing Cheryl, I can understand why you picked her first. That's fine. But, happy to be here. Appreciate all you guys do for us. And, numbers-wise, I came at dentistry a little bit different than most people. I was an accountant first, so definitely helps to understand some of the numbers sometimes. And, because of that, we've figured out some creative ways to do marketing, such as owning an ambulance that we take to community events. Some of these community events you might know as Chiefs games, but they also go to like parades and things and hand out toothbrush to kids. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Awesome. And how many patients do you get that come in and say, how did you think of buying an ambulance and putting your logo all over it?
So to be honest, it's not as many patients. What I get more of is if we happen to be at a Chiefs game, somebody drunk coming up and asking me to pull their tooth right there. And they get real uncomfortable when I actually grab a wrench and say that I'm going to do it. They usually walk away.
They have actually hand out the liability waiver.
Yes, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, getting into it, you're part of the Dental Success Network, and I think it's really an important group that holds people honest and accountable. And Cheryl's a part of that as well. In the topic of, you recently completed a fairly large project. I think you have, 17, 18 operatories? 20 operatories.
Yes.
That was a fairly large
Don't start
project. Billing
me for more, though. If you think I only have 17.
Yeah, Shannon! There's a lot of vendors involved, a lot of, time for people to either really impress you or piss you off. Let's say focusing specifically on that project, and just so you guys know, Bill, he practices in the old NCAA headquarter building, and he moved his office from floor 1 to floor 3. And there was a lot that went into that. 2 to 3, excuse me. And so turning over back to you, what were some of your things kind of looking back, your biggest pluses, biggest minuses on that?
Well, I think, that was a huge undertaking. We're, building out almost 9,000 square feet of space. So we had to be smart about it. And, I think that definitely you learn things along the way. I probably took slightly more of a back seat during the actual construction phase than I should have. Our contractor did an amazing job. Our dental supplier dropped the ball just a little bit. The project manager on it was fantastic, but the actual supplier didn't have the manpower necessary to get the job done. And what we learned through that is, I think had I been a little more involved instead of just trusting them at that phase, we may have caught it before it became a hiccup. But with that said, we still opened on time. We haven't had really much downtime except for and sorry, did that just edit out?
It flickered, but we're good.
So I got a phone call on my watch, and you can't stop that on the iPad. So I'm trying to get to it as quick as possible. But anyways, the really having your finger on the pulse of what's going on, I think, is important in a project, but I think it's also important in your business. So it's counterintuitive, but one of Mark Hostis's of Dental Success Network and Institute and all that, his big thing is actually taking a admin day. And so I started doing that, and that was a game changer. So our office is open and humming on Monday through Friday. I do not see patients on Mondays, and that's strictly to take care of all the administrative stuff that needs to be done. And, you know, Friday I still typically don't work, but that's my family time and things like that. So the wife kind of put the hammer down and said, we have a 4-month-old. If you're going to keep running this big business, which she's also running, you got to not do it at night. So it was reasonable, and here we are.
You got a good one, so you make sure you keep her happy.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. I better not screw that one up. She's my boss at home and at work. So
it's awesome. And so, you know, going through this, I guess it makes sense to kind of fill people in on your package of software that you rely on. Like, think about practice management, your data analytics company,
sure.
paperless.
So we kind of probably have more than we need, but luckily for us, you know, some of the you know, a practice of our size, some of the monthly fees aren't as arduous as they would be if we were a little smaller, so we can kind of play around with anything. We use Open Dental and absolutely love it. We came from PracticeWorks and then another small software that nobody's ever heard of. And when we switched to Open Dental, it was just a game changer. So highly, highly recommend Open Dental. It's just, you can probably explain it better than I can, but it's just easy. And our team uses it well. There's more features in it than we probably realize. So I love that. Somebody keeps calling me. I don't even know.
You get blown up today.
Yeah.
Do they know it's your admin day?
They probably do, and that's why they're calling. It's probably a sales call.
Yeah, it's probably true.
So anyways, for paperless stuff, we use Modento. That's a fairly new add-on for us. We had some other softwares. We used Yappy at one point, and it had a few bug issues that we couldn't get resolved. So been real happy with Modento so far. Nothing's perfect, so I don't think anybody should expect that, but it's intuitive. Patients actually love it, and they're very receptive to change. So little things that we've asked to be tweaked, they seem to be putting on the roadmap. So that's cool. Data analytics, I'm kind of OCD about. So we use both Divergent Dental and Dental Intel. I probably wouldn't recommend that for everybody, but for us, I find that they each have their own, positives. Divergent's really good for just a quick glance.
That's Kevin Rawson, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then when I want to dive real deep into the numbers and get super nerdy and figure out how hygienist A is working with Dr. B and how all that stuff works, we use Dental Intel for that. And so it's a nice combination.
Yeah. For anybody out there considering switching to Open Dental, it's as close to perfect as I think you can get in this space. It is not going to break the bank. I think after, was it $119 after?
Yeah, if you get support. If you want to be real cheap, you cannot get support and have it for free. I wouldn't recommend that, but you can do it. Your IT company will hate you.
He's right. We will. I mean, it sends a bad signal that you won't spend $119 for a great company, right? Because they do live up to. We
regularly also, you can submit things that you'd like to see changed in the software or add-ons.
Oh, the feature requests.
You can pledge money, and so sometimes I'll be like, this one's pretty important to us, and I'll pledge like $1,500, and it's amazing. Magically, that one happens a lot faster than the one I didn't pledge anything for. So
I mean, converting from any software is a change, right? And it is disruptive to your business,
awful.
but it is awful.
Worth it.
And it is worth it. So it's important to, I mean, did you like involve, besides Ash, obviously, did you involve any other team members in the process of converting?
I mean, we brought the admin team in on training. Yeah. We did not bring it up for discussion. Okay. And we don't really have anybody that's tech savvy enough to really, I was confident in helping us with like when you do a conversion, obviously, Ruben, you know this, they do a data check. So they will pull your database out, and then they will do the conversion on your sample data and have you spot check it to make sure everything's good. And I did that personally just because our team is fantastic, but that's not their strong suit. So,
right.
And that's a pretty important step. And I actually think that for anybody that's considering a conversion, one thing to consider is bad data is worse than no data. So, for example, we said, I want every transaction ever to be pulled through. And if I had to do it again, I would probably just have people come over with an opening balance and all the old transactions only be accessible in the old software, because coming from our software, it just didn't transfer well. Now, I think that's different if you're coming from Dentrix or EagleSoft. I think they've got that pretty well honed down. But when you're on one of the smaller ones, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And really pay attention to that. They have a checklist beforehand, so that'll tell you, but there's nothing like actually diving into it side by side and seeing what's in there. So moving on to like, what are the things, you have your admin day on Monday, you have your mental health day on Friday.
Important.
And what are like the resources, while you were preparing for this expansion and move, that you relied on along the way, either books or podcasts or groups, peer groups, or anything like that?
I mean, I think DSN was a huge resource. We spent a lot of time asking, people that had similar size practices, what they did, flows, what people liked. Don't be afraid to spend money on soft costs. In our project, it was approximately a $2 million project with equipment, and we spent over $75,000 with the architects and engineers. So, in some ways that feels like money that you're just throwing away, but at the end of the day, it's actually probably the most important money that you're spending. Make sure that you've got a good contractor, general contractor, preferably somebody that's done dental before. Ours actually had not, but researched the heck out of it before he went and did the project. So, there's some nuances about dental that are different. So if you hire somebody that's done hospitals, for example, they're going to think that you have to do a lot more. For example, suction lines don't have to be silver soldered. If your contractor doesn't know that, you're going to spend a lot of money that you don't need to spend because they consider that a med gas. Well, it's not. So just making sure that whoever you bring in has done this before or is willing to get down to the nitty-gritty research, I think that's super important. And then making yourself as knowledgeable as possible, because regardless of who you hire, you're still your best advocate. So I think that's important.
Awesome. And then make sure that the owner's coming to your house the day after the project's over, just in case anything goes wrong. Right?
Absolutely. Finagling your IT company to show up on site with the muscle, and then for the owner to just show up with a Tank 7 in hand and say, "Yep, looks good, guys."
Hey, let's walk out of that. Yeah, so for those of you listening, I am talking about our engineers, Bo and Jeremy, came on site and knocked out the install in the large part Monday through Friday.
For some reason, Ruben's flight couldn't come until 3 days later. I don't understand.
I got there for the glory, the grand tour on Friday. And so I was pushing those guys all week to make sure everything was dialed in.
It was awesome. They did a great job.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
The IT side, not to like stroke you or anything, but the IT side was definitely like the one that we haven't had a hiccup yet. So.
Well, thanks. Well,
Yeah.
We're friends. I also don't want to piss you off. So I have a really good.
Yeah.
I like you so much. I ditched the Chicago Bears and became a Chiefs fan.
That had nothing to do with me. That was all Patrick Mahomes.
That was Mahomie.
Mahomie?
Yeah, that should be
Where's your Mahomie shirt?
Remember, we retired it. It was too lucky.
Did the dog eat it?
No. It literally was retired after they won the Super Bowl.
You're going to wear it for the next one.
Yeah, okay. You're a busy dude. Don't want to take up too much of your time. That is not a fake Zoom background, everybody. That is the definition of a successful dentist.
In fairness, Ashley and I came down with slight colds over the weekend, and we got tested for COVID. So
yeah.
We are quarantining at our lake house at the moment.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
But we're fine. Everybody's fine. The kiddo's fine. Everybody's good. But our policy is you can't go back to work until you know that you're really good. So we're just waiting on that to come back.
That's fair. Any final words of wisdom for those young bucks out there?
I think the biggest thing is some of the stuff seems scarier than it is, and don't be afraid to spend money. you know, when I look at successful dentists, you don't spend money stupid, because dentists, we can do that very well. But also, I think a lot of times people become so tight that they just completely hinder themselves from being able to get the job done. And, you know, saving open dental for $119 or whatever it is a perfect example. You're going to have more than that in a headache than if you don't pay that money monthly. So be smart about where you spend your money, but don't be cheap.
Appreciate it. Bill, thanks for coming on.
Of course.
Hope you guys continue on the road to recovery here. Last question. How does it feel to have Mahomes locked up for 12 years?
I mean, it's kind of like knowing that you're going to have 110% production growth every year.
Everybody, join the bandwagon. The Chiefs are awesome.
I hope we have a season this year.
And I think the NFL is fine. The college footballs has some warning signs.
But my season tickets are no good this year, so this is a problem.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Did they give you your money back?
They held it for next year.
You mean paused?
Yeah. But they did say they won't raise ticket prices this year, so we got that going for us.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And thank you so much for hopping on with me. Episode 2's in the books. And take care. See you guys next time.
All right. See you, bud.